This is part 4 of your quadratic equation tutorial, and over here I'm definitely going to finish off the chapter in this one. I'm just going to do two questions, two word problems. The first one is from 2003 ICSE paper, and I think you find it in your books. It should be there. In an auditorium, seats were arranged in rows and columns. So we know the rows and the columns over here. Few rows, we don't know how many and all that right now, and columns. The number of rows were equal to number of seats in each row. Okay, so just imagine these are the seats. I'm not saying the 4 or anything, I'm just telling you that just imagine hypothetically. So now you can see the number of rows is equal to this one plus this one plus this one. The number of columns is equal to this, that means 4. Now if you look at one row, the number of seats in one row is the number of columns. The number of seats in this row is 4, the number of columns are 4, right? So they've given you the number of rows were equal to the number of seats in each row, which means the number of columns. So I think we can make them x and y. So let's say number of rows is x, and the x is equal to number of seats in each row. That means x is equal to, let's say, number of columns is y. Now x is equal to y, so y is equal to x. Therefore, you could just write the total number of seats. You could imagine as a square. Then it's like, say you had 8 rows and 8 columns, right? So in each row you have 8 seats and you have 8 rows. So number of seats is equal to x squared simply. So now we've also been given when the number of rows was doubled and the number of seats in each row was reduced by 10, the total number of seats increased by 300. Okay, so now original number of seats in the first arrangement was x squared, and after that the number of rows was doubled, so now you have 2x, and also the number of seats in each row, which is the number of columns, was reduced by 10, so you have x minus 10. I'm writing x over here and not y because as I told you, x is equal to y really over here. Number of columns originally was not equal to number of rows. So now to find the number of seats in this new arrangement, we just multiply it. It's like length into breadth. When you find a rectangle's area, it's you multiply the length and the breadth and you get it. Same way here we're multiplying rows into columns, so we get it like this. So now we've also been given, so here we're multiplying, and we've been given that the number of seats was increased by 300. So x squared, which is original, is equal to new minus 300, because this is 300 more than x squared. So this is your equation. If you just expand it, open this up, 2x squared minus 20x minus 300, let's bring that x squared to this side, minus x squared is equal to 0. Now we've been told to find the number of rows in the original arrangement, that means x squared, and also number of seats after rearrangement. That's easy if you get the first one. So just minus this over here. So your quadratic becomes x squared minus 20x minus 300. Now I'm pretty sure this can be split, but I'm still going to use the formula. So minus of b, that's 20, plus minus root of b squared, 400, minus of 4ac, so minus 1200. upon 2a, which is 2. So I'm skipping the step in between, so this will come out to be root of 1200, which is 40. So 20 plus 40 upon 2, 60 by 2, and 20 minus 40 upon 2. So our answers for x are, which is number of rows in the original, 30 and minus 10. Now this quantity, as I said, is equal to number of rows. It's also equal to number of columns. Now it's obvious that you can't have minus 10 rows because that doesn't make sense. So ignore this. So your x is equal to 30. Also, yeah, in most of your word problems, you'll be told to find like number of seats over here, or you'll be told to find money or speed of something. So usually you would get one negative root. You could just ignore that. So now we know that 30 was x. So originally you had 30 square seats, which is 900. And now we've been given that the new arrangement had 300 more seats. So you can directly say 1200. If you want to verify, you can verify the number of rows were doubled. So you get 60 rows, but in each column, your columns were reduced by 10. So you had 60 into 20, and you can see it comes out to be the same, 1200. Now I'm going to do another sum like this, except it'll be based on speed of something. I'm going to erase this first. Okay. And I suggest you practice this as much as you can. Give the chapter priority, because even in your board exams, it's usually a 3 or 4 mark question that comes in section B, and if you know it, it's really not a problem at all. So this is a question that came in 2009, so it's pretty recent. The speed of an express train is x kilometers an hour. X kilometers an hour, right? kmh. So and the speed of an ordinary train is 12 kilometers an hour, less than that of express train. Let's just say express EX. And what is this? An ordinary train. Ordinary. We've been given that its speed is 12 lesser than this, so you can say x minus 12 kmh. Now, if the ordinary train takes 1 hour longer than the express train to cover a distance of 240 kilometers, find the speed of the express train. So, first thing you need to do is just interpret the information, just think about what they're saying. Both of these trains cover 240 km. Now, the ordinary train will have some time, this will have some time. Let's say this is TE, E for express, and TOT for O for ordinary. So time is equal to distance upon speed. So for the ordinary train, we could write 240 upon x minus 12. Here we could, there's no minus 12 here, so just 240 upon x. And the most important information here is that the ordinary train takes 1 hour longer, right? So we can write that this time is 1 more than this time. So I'm going to continue it here. 240 upon x minus 12 is equal to, now this time is 1 hour longer than this time. So we could write time taken by the express train plus 1. 240 by x plus 1. Now, the best way to do this would be first take the LCM. So you get 240 plus x upon x then you just cross multiply over here. I'm going to write it here so you could see the cross multiplication. So x multiplied by 240, so 240x is equal to, now you multiply x minus 12 and 240 plus x. So let's just take 240 first. So now it's 240 into x, so 240x. 240 into minus 12, which would be calculator. And yeah, I'm using the calculator just to save time in the tutorial because I have limited time. But you should definitely do the calculations on your own. Wait, sorry. So it's 2880. So and it's a minus here. So minus 2880. And now we take x. So it will be plus x squared minus 12x. So these two terms get cut. They're the same, 240x, 240x. Now we could just rearrange these three terms as x squared minus 12x minus 2880 is equal to 0. And then you can solve it. I think it's going to be pretty tough to split the middle term here, so you could do it by the formula. Um, I don't think I'm going to do it step by step, it'll take time. So I'm just going to use the calculator and do it over here. So it's b squared, that's 144 minus 4. I think you can pause it, calculate yourself, so you get a bit of practice. And this gets added to 144. So, and then you root this, so you get 108. So your root of d is 108. Now minus b, that means 12, plus minus 108 upon 2a, which is 2 here. And then you solve it. So you can see in the case where you take the plus, you're going to get 60. In the other case, you're going to get, I think, minus 48. So as I said before, you usually get 1 minus 1 plus, and you go back and see. We're talking about speed here. X is your speed. So obviously speed cannot be negative. So 60 kilometers an hour is your answer. So I think just the way to solve this would be, if needed, you could draw a diagram, a little diagram over here. You could just plot the information. But the most important thing is to interpret the information correctly. And also, people get confused with, like over here, if you look at this, people make this plus over here a minus because they think that this term is going to take less time, so you should minus the 1 from it to get this, but it's the other way around actually. The time taken is more over here, so you minus it. And I think the best way to know how to interpret the information would be to practice as many as you can of these. And again, it's a straight 4 marks if you know how to do it. And there are limited types of questions that they can ask. So I think just practice in this chapter and don't ignore it at all just because it comes in section B, because usually it's given to you with a slightly easier question. So do this chapter well, and we're going to be back with the next chapter, which is what is it? Well, whatever it is, we're going to be back.